Okay, so you touched on a few things, and especially around the international piece. When it comes to UN peacekeeping, UN aid, anything that comes to international, and we all know that there is always an underlying meaning to what international aid looks like, or even international peacekeeping looks like. There's always someone behind it. And so something that we've been hearing a lot since October is either aid is getting in, someone is bringing aid in, airdrops and all that. Especially around the aid, what's the situation that's going on? Who's in control of aid, and are they not being let in because of Israel? Or is it something, because clearly we saw that Jordan was able to airdrop aid. Is it something that's by choice, that aid isn't coming in?
I think that there are two ways to look at this. I think, first of all, for those of you who've been following Lebanon, you will have noted that Ireland and Israel now have a huge beef. They're arguing with each other. Why? The Israelis demanded that UN peacekeepers leave. So all the other nations are prepared to withdraw their forces except the Irish. The Irish are saying we're not going out because we know what happens when peacekeeping forces leave. We know what happened in Bosnia when the Dutch forces left and Mladic committed his genocide. Hassan, you were there in Srebrenica and you saw it with your own eyes. You saw what happened when UN peacekeeping forces leave. It is the prelude to a massacre. So I think in this regard, there are some in the UN who are insisting, and it's one of the reasons why the Israelis have complications in Lebanon, in that if you notice, the Israelis love shouting about any victory. But have you heard anything from them in the past 3-4 days with regards to Lebanon? Absolutely nothing. Something is not going well for them with regards to Lebanon. I think that when it comes to aid, I think there are two angles to look at it. The first is, it is abundantly clear that aid is a problematic issue for the Israelis and for Blinken and for Biden. If you remember, Blinken, who is, the PR-in-chief of the Israelis, Blinken initially offered a plan. Why? Because he was worried that domestically something might happen in the elections in November. Some muzis might decide to finally go and vote, and they might deliver a body blow to what happens in November. Views expressed on my own. So Blinken is worried that might happen. So he came up with these PR strategies, humanitarian corridor and the like. But the Israelis realized, and this is from their words, a member of the Knesset, the Israeli parliament. So when I use Israel, I use it between quotation marks. So the Israeli parliament came out and said, there is no victory for us in Gaza so long as the UNRWA is there. As long as aid is going in, we can't win, because these Palestinians don't abandon their land. We need to break their backs completely and make sure no aid is going in, which is why Biden tried to criminalize aid. The Egyptians, as part of trying to keep the Palestinians in Rafah, have been allowing some aid to go to, but very limited charities like Beit al-Mal, like HCI and some of these others, which is why I know that, Munder was giving his, his talk about Sheikh Munder, but Beit al-Mal is one of those that actually does get the aid through. Why? They have a very clever tactic. What they do is, Israel tries to find every technicality to reject the aid. So Beit al-Mal set up their trucks, because the Israelis, for example, will go through the middle of the truck, and they can't go through. They say you have to take your thing to the back of the queue and arrange it. So Beit al-Mal have done it, so the Israelis have no technical reason to not allow it through. But in any case, the aid is going through in that regard. Some aid is going through, but not all of the aid. A lot of the aid is stuck on the border with Rafah, primarily because they are delaying it until the goods can be perished. But it is important to note, and I understand that the pessimism and skepticism with regards to the aid. The reason why the Israelis are struggling in Gaza is because aid is there. Aid is going through. And because aid is going through, it means the Palestinians are living to survive another day. And the reason I use the word survive instead of fight is because Henry Kissinger himself has a famous quote, and I'll leave on this one. He says that a conventional army loses if it does not win. But a guerrilla force wins so long as it does not lose. The Palestinians win so long as they are there, so long as they survive, so long as when all this ends, they are standing, they win. And the Israelis lose if they are unable to get those Palestinians out of that land. And that's why I repeat this point. The reason Israel is hitting Lebanon and trying to provoke Iran into a war and trying to bomb Yemen and the like is because the Israelis, they're not doing it from a position of power. They're doing it from a position of weakness. They are unable to find a strategic victory that can be legitimized, so they want a legal war that will enable them to achieve that ethnic cleansing, so that Netanyahu can say, finally, we've pushed these borders and we've managed to make them bigger. And there's a lot of excitement amongst the Biden administration with regards to this. A lot of leaks coming out, Brett McGurk and these others saying it's an exciting opportunity. We finally have a reason to expand those borders. And the best part about it is we can do it and these Muslims will still vote for us because the other side is so scary. And because, you know, there are people of Wahan. Have you read the hadith that it says in their book? You know, we need to make sure they will come to us and forgive us anyway. It's a win-win situation because the other side is a man with an orange tan who... Brett McGurk believes this is the golden opportunity in which we can make Israel's borders bigger, we can commit genocide, we can get rid of these Palestinians, and we can win a second term on top of it. Why not continue? And that's why the aid is so important. Aid helps keep the Palestinians going. Even if it doesn't produce the outcome that you want, it certainly is having enough of an impact for Netanyahu to plead with the Americans to stop allowing that aid to reach Gaza.